20 years ago, we were sheltered from that. And it's great, over the last couple of weeks, it's unbelievable, what's happening in Donegal, with the colour and everything else and the banter, and it's all football talk again, which is great. And it's great to witness that there, because we wouldn't have witnessed much of that in 1992,
You were huge underdogs, though, that year, weren't you? I mean, it's different now, they're the favourites.
Yeah, well, I think I think Jim McGuinness can handle that, There were favourites like back, a few matches ago as well.
Yeah.
Jim... He's got a degree in psychology, and I think it won't make one bit difference to us whatsoever.
But given that you were the underdogs, who were the cocky fellas on the team that thought you'd beat the Dubs? Because not many did.
Well, we had the whole team, we believed in ourselves, because we played Dublin that year in the National League quarter-final, and we were leading by something like 5 points or something like that with about a few minutes left, and Vinnie Murphy threw in 2 very late goals, so we knew, that we could beat Dublin, and we're totally confident, within ourselves as a bunch of players.
John, you were talking earlier on about shops getting sold out. I believe that the hype is at your own place as well in Mayo, that you've been doing a great trade. Des tells me anyway.
Great trade, all right, Gráinne, yeah. The building trade is a bit slow, but the flag and scarves trade is great. So the only money we had in our till this week were from red and green, but it's great. A bit of buzz. It's been very low-key, to be honest. Nothing like we've experienced before, and James Horn has kept a nice lid on it. And I'll just add there that I think the last time an All-Ireland final was so comprehensively won by a team before throwing was when these men bet Dublin in '92, so this could be a good omen for Mayo.
It could be for you.
Yeah. Very well said.
You visited every single school, I'm told, after Donegal won in '92.
Yeah, it was a fantastic time. I got, first of all, I took 6 months out from the ESB, and have to thank the ESB for that. Their special leave, and it was a busy time. I done all the schools.
Great time, though.
It was a fantastic time, and then you go to schools during the day, and then you probably a function that night as well, and also went to America, went to England, all over the world, really,
It means so much to everyone.
John, you're working tomorrow. You're broadcasting while the match is on. Will you be able to stay calm?
I don't ever stay calm, Gráinne, during the matches. I do. I'm a supporter at heart, and when myself and Mike and Billy are on Midwest, we're Mayo people. We know most of our listeners are from Mayo, so we can be a bit biased.
You can say what you like. It's like fan zone.
Yeah, now you have it. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much for bringing Sam in.
Worse for me than him. I'd prefer to be out there playing. It's easy. I think I was just thinking, Jack there, I was saying, way back to Kerry with the great team, we always looked up to Kerry and Donegal. I remember Donegal played Kerry in a match one time, and Kerry beat them a couple of points. I went down to Kerry afterwards, down there, and I met a fella in a bar, and he was just chatting to me, and he says, you're a great side up there. He says, but you're too small. You're too small. He says, you need big. So I said, would you send up a few big Kerry women? And he says, I will, but they'll have to be pregnant before they go up. So I just think now we're going to send them back down to Kerry now. Sort it out.
Moving swiftly away from that topic. I'll be honest.
Oh no, I wanted to go back to Jack on that.
My mind is racing at the moment. We need to move back. Even you're from a football family, and you're a big football.
So what does it feel like to have Michael lining out against your own home county tomorrow?
Well, it's you'd never dream about it anyway. It's something unbelievable, I might as well say. But having said that, I have been closely over the years. Michael played for me at underage football right through, and I suppose I'm very closely associated with him, if you know what I mean, right through his years, through his football. And all the good people at Donegal that did a lot of work for Michael as coaches and managers down the years. There's too many here to mention tonight. I would have to be honest about it. They have all contributed massively. But Michael, I would find, is an excellent young fella. He's a great young lad, and he has never given us. We've got great joy out of him playing Gaelic football. And it's such a great game, it's such a great culture, our games here at Gaelic football. And
it's great to be a part of it.
What more can I say, yeah.
But Michael, can you enjoy this? I mean, it is a fabulously proud moment for all the family and the parish and everyone. But is it too tense for you?
Well, I haven't felt any tension so far, believe it or not.
Good for you.
Believe it or not. I'm trying to soak it up. I'm trying to enjoy it. Because it's a rare thing, if you know what I mean.
Sure it is, yeah.
But I really do, I have to say, I really am enjoying it. every moment of
Who
it.
will you be cheering for tomorrow?
Of course, he's
Well, I would be honest, and I'm going to be truthful. I would have to support my son. I would definitely.
Well, best of luck to the family, and I hope you have a great day tomorrow. Now, behind you is another one with a family link tomorrow. Alma Kavanagh's brother Rory is playing for Donegal.
Yeah, you have to be nervous, and the closer you get to the game, you know. Normally, we go to 92 to Donegal. It was the other way around. Dublin were red hot favourites, and always easier for the underdog in a big match like that. There, I mean, the last 12 finals, 6 underdogs have won and 6 favourites have won. So it's really down to that there. And I mean, it's going to. I think it comes down to, you know, how early the team leaves the dressing room and everything else. It's going to come down to leaders on the field. We saw it in Henry Shefflin the last day. You know, his ability to lead on the field. I think that's what's going to come down to this time. And we take Michael Murphy there at 23 years of age. What a captain in Donegal, you know. And I've always said about, you know, I remember the time in '92. We were always saying, let's, you know, close our eyes and think Anthony Malloy going up them steps to lift that cup, you know. And, you know, Anthony Malloy, we wanted to crown him king of Donegal. And there'll be no better ambassador than Michael Murphy to get him up there now at 23 years of age.
Jack, Donegal have been on some journey over the last 2 years. Who were talking about Donegal this time last year would have seen them in this position and as such
Or
red
Mayo, I
hot
suppose,
favourites.
yeah.
Or Mayo, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you went to bookies in August this year, when the quarter-final draw was made, and you wouldn't have picked Donegal and Mayo to get through to the final. But like, as I said, I think both teams have been exceptional this year. I think Donegal's level of fitness is unreal. You know, they're really going well in the last 10 minutes of a match. Their physical strength, the work that they've done is really coming through. I wasn't a great lover of the way they played last year because I thought they were playing very defensive, but I think they've opened their game up quite a bit more this year.
And Jack, when we're talking about leaders tomorrow and nerves and all that, you started as a 19-year-old and you had loads of finals. Were you ever nervous, really nervous in any of those big finals?
No, really. I kind of a routine that I stuck with. Like, I was based in Dublin, so I trained under Micheál O'Hertig. And on the Friday night before an All-Ireland final, Micheál would come over to me and say, "Jack, you're in great shape." So that convinced me that I was in good shape. But I kind of did my own thing. I think All-Ireland finals, you have to be very natural coming into it. The more you think about it, the more nervous you're going to be. You can lose a lot of your energy in that. And I used to work most Saturdays before the final. I used to go out to Malahide to meet the team at 8 o'clock on the Saturday night. About 10 o'clock, we would march down to reception and, "Come on, lads, we're going for a meeting." We'd walk out the door of the hotel in Malahide, down onto the beach.
At night time?
At night time, pitch dark. We'd all be sitting on a wall. You wouldn't even know who was sitting next to you. Mick would be out in front talking. That was our team talk, you know.
You'll have everyone copying that now. They'll be looking for beaches in the dark.
And then what I used to do then the Sunday morning probably was, a lot of people would find it hard to believe, I used to go out and play 18 holes of pitch and putt in Malahide.
Before the match?
After breakfast, yeah. I used to just get away completely and relax. And it was usually the subs and the team used to come with me in that. But I just relaxed going into the game as much as possible. And I thought, go out by playing a bit of pitch and putt. It took my mind off it, and I didn't think about the game until 2 or 3 o'clock, you know.
Jack and Martin, you'd be interested in this as well. Joe Brawley said, I suppose you have to put the caveat about Joe Brawley said, yes, that the teams of today would easily beat the teams of 20 years ago now, that the fitness, the preparation, I mean, the sports psychology, the nutrition, everything that goes into it has taken them to such a level that they would run riot.
I think the psychology has changed because Mayo, you know, a lot of people would have said they always lost it in Croke Park, but I think this team, you know, they've focused so much.
I could play football, you know, it's different. Mayo have 15 people in their backroom team. Donegal have probably someone like 20 people in the backroom team. It's different. The one thing you say about it is the effort and commitment that they're putting in these players. They're professional every way. We look at Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods, talking about 1 in 10 million. You have the soccer players in England, and these lads will all have to be at work on, Tuesday or Wednesday this week. I mean, you have to give them a lot of credit. It's
Absolutely.
You know, and anybody comes over, soccer players, anybody to see it, they can't believe the effort for amateurs that they're putting in.
Well, maybe the context of this next thing is very clear because
experience. It was the first time Donegal had ever played in an All-Ireland final, and I was the youngest player on the team.
Bonner! I knew at the time there was maybe 3 minutes left on the clock. We were 3 points up. I knew Sam was heading for the hills after that.
I saw old men getting kisses in '92 in Croke Park who were probably never kissed in their lives before. It was the most wonderful thing.
We went celebrating, some people say for a couple of weeks, some will say 20 years.
He lifted the cup. He's 2 gold medals and 1 silver. I've actually 3 silvers. So same number of All-Ireland finals. But I'm the only son, I think, of that team of the 50s to follow in that tradition, and that's something that I think is, for our family, very special.
Absolutely.
Of course it is, yeah. Matt, Donegal had never won the All-Ireland before you were on the team in '92, so who were your heroes as a young fellow? Was Conor Deegan one of them, or...? You know you're sitting beside a legend. I should point this out to you, Matt. Today, ladies and gentlemen, Conor Deegan, who has his All-Ireland medals, won the Irish Senior Cup in golf today. It's the highest an amateur golfer can win, and he rushed back from Kinsale.
Correct.
So well done to the lads. And it was a bit similar to yourselves, Matt. It was 99 years or something since they'd won it. So then, anyway, getting back to when you won in what was it like for you as a kid growing up? Who were the heroes? Were they Donegal players?
Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate Conor, because I played for Ulster and I think it was '93, and I was full back, and Conor came on as a sub instead of me. I got hurt. So, you know, I just want to make that point.
Won the medal after.
We shared the medal after. Martin Carney was a huge hero for me, and he's out here now. You know, he was... people see the footage from 1972 and '74, like, and as I said to him earlier, he looked like Jesus Christ.
He had the long hair.
The long hair and the big beard, and he was quite scary. but really, really nice. But I've been calling him Martin Can't Lose tonight, like, you know, so he's fantastic. But, you know, that '72, '74 team were a huge breakthrough. I got to the All-Ireland semi-final in '74. My aunt, God rest her, lived in Dunleer in County Louth, and she brought us, myself and my late brother Porrick. And we got in on the pitch afterwards. We climbed over the wire, and she was taking pictures of us with our Donegal hats and that. And we were so disappointed as young boys. So I suppose, like, you never thought that you were going to be there, you know, playing in the All-Ireland final yourself. So, like, those were huge heroes for us. And all through the years then, I played with Ballyshannon. I went to school in Ballyshannon, and we were lucky enough to win an All-Ireland Colleges medal, and then an All-Ireland 21 in 1982, and that really gave us the confidence to kick on. You know?
Well, you're looking back there, but Des had tweeted some footage earlier today, which I looked at, and it was Donegal's celebrations in '92 as they came home. And Gary Walsh, who played for Donegal at the time, was talking about you guys the year before in '91, inspiring them to victory, and maybe talking about Ulster teams coming on, and he named Tyrone amongst their number. I mean, how prescient was he? Ulster became such a force after that.
Yeah, I suppose it was. I suppose we made the breakthrough in '91. You know, the lads from Donegal and from Derry, you know, and Tyrone, Armagh, they all would have looked and said, sure, we can beat them boys. And they normally did, actually, if truth be told, you know. But I suppose they looked at that and said, if down boys can go down and do that, sure, we can do it. And, you know, the lads from Donegal went down. They were massive underdogs against Dublin, but, you know, they fought like tigers on the day and turned a great result. And, you know, from then, I suppose, Derry followed, and then we came back again. So, no, maybe it was the start of maybe a bit of Ulster domination for a short time.
It sure was. Do you think there was a mental block almost of going down to Dublin, going down and taking the cup?
He never had a mental block in his life. That
well, there's nothing blocking it anyway, is there?
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Back,
And you rushed back for this.
Absolutely. I could have stayed in the club and got hammered for it. I think there was a mental block. You know, for year after year, we seemed to come down, and Ulster teams were sent back with their tail between their legs. So, yeah, you'd have to imagine there was something that had to change. And I suppose we came down and looked at Meath and said we'd done reasonably well in the National League final the previous year. So we knew we weren't that far away. So I suppose once it was broken, it's like Bannister doing the 4-minute mile. Once it was broken, sure, there was, you know, a plethora of fellas came through afterwards. You know, so.
It's easy for the other lads. Well, Dermot, I mean, you, as everyone knows, you have to go back to '51. But your dad being captain then and all that, did you grow up on stories of '51?
I did. My family, football was number one in my family. Although my father was in politics as well, but football was always the thing that was part of our upbringing. And the message that I repeatedly heard was about the uniqueness, the group of players that were there, and I think Sean Flanagan was very lucky with the players that he had. They were a wonderful group of talented people.
There's pictures here now that people can see, and the extraordinary thing is, Mayo were in white in this final. The extraordinary thing, watch when Sean is collecting the cup in a minute. Do you know what I'm talking about, Dermot? Grania and I were looking at it earlier. There's a fag in the hand.
Yeah.
You'll see it looking
look
there.
at the smoke coming out of the hand. When he's collecting Sam Maguire.
Yeah.
Different times.
Different times.
Yeah.
The fag was extinguished just before the ball was thrown in and recommenced.
I said that it looked like a butt that was smoking, actually.
So different times, but the culture in the time, this was a team that was unique. It went into collective training 2 weeks before an All-Ireland final. The players used to join it, go to Gahan's hotel for 2 weeks. Some people say Sean was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
To me, he said he thought that was the right thing to do and normal. So that was part of him.
Yeah, well, we're joined in the audience now by a daughter of one of the players, Joe Gilvari's daughter Alva is with us in Donegal this time round.
Yeah, the last time round, you know, I heard Anthony earlier on saying that we weren't involved in it, and that's right. Like, Brian was fantastic at shielding us from that and getting us away from what was happening with supporters and you know, within the county. But this time around, you know, you can see the colour, you can see the you know, people are very excited. And
but to be fair, Brian had you doing other jobs, didn't he?
We heard you were his pet. Yeah.
You drove him around, isn't that it?
Yeah, I did drive him around there. That was to stop him driving me around the bend. We used to get in the car for training and he'd say, yeah, you drive. You know, and you know, thank God there's no mobile phones then, because he'd been on the phone all the time. It was all business. But yeah, I used to drive him. He'd say, oh, I'm only home from Dublin. Hop in the car, drive. And I was talking to Sean Moran, funny, during the week from the Irish Times, and he wrote an article, I think it was 1990, and we were passing Biddies of Barnes, coming home from a training, and he actually mentioned the fact that there was 2 or 3 journalists in the car, and I was driving. And, you know, he said, you would never get that type of access now, you know, 2 or 3 journalists in the car. Well, probably were staying in Hollywood and having a good time, you know, but I wasn't around for that, you know. So. But yeah, it's fantastic, you know, and you can see the colour the whole way through. And I come up through Monaghan today, you know, that way, and it's just absolutely fantastic, you know, like it's...
State flags out as well, yeah?
Yeah, and they're green and gold, not blue and white.
Good. But I wonder, when you have the memories, I mean, you've all played in the finals. Conor, what's your standout memory of a final day, of the ones you won? What, have you a standout memory? Is it the match itself, or is it something around it?
Football, that was 54.
54? Wow. I know. And does that explain the back?
I'm paying for it now.
Well, I hope you do get some ease, win, lose or draw.
I got the scan done today and it's not very good. But however, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. It'll help to cure a lot of things.
Fingers crossed for you.
At least you didn't have to miss it anyway.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, good luck to it. Martin Carney. Now, Matt Gallagher said earlier, did you teach him, by the way, or no?
No, I remember Matt as a little fella, and like he was as talkative then as he is now, and trained him a little bit in football when he was in under 12. There was a guy in Ballyshannon, Jackie McDermott, who trained him, and occasionally I'd come along. But Matt hadn't got a club at the time in Ballintrae, so he played with Ballyshannon, and he was always a larger-than-life character, and he hasn't changed one bit, actually.
But he says you can't lose. But you're actually
is it that you can't win as well?
Well, you can't win, you can't lose. I'm just very privileged to be in the position that I'm in tomorrow to do.
Explain it now for people.
Well, I suppose I'm very proud of the fact that I'm born and reared in Donegal. I played football in Donegal until I was about 27. I then I'd been working in Swinford and County Mayo from the time I was about 22, 23. And, you know, around 1979, I started playing football in Mayo, and I played 11 years with them. So I've played with Mayo, played with Donegal for an cumulative total of 20 years in senior inter-county. So whoever wins tomorrow, I'll be happy for them, but I'll be devastated for whoever loses it. And, you know, I'd be a neighbour of the O'Sheas, and, you know, I'd know Barry Moore and Richie Feeney. I was with Jono in the last management team, actually, so I'd know most of the Mayo guys. And yes, you know, the guys, you know, the people in Donegal, I'd know so many of them as well. So it's a win-win, put it that way.
Liam, for you now, like, sport has meant so much to you. You played at the highest level, you know, between the basketball and the football. Can you sense in Mayo the hunger now of just the ordinary people and the older people maybe who've probably suffered and walked out of Croke Park many a time with disappointment?
Yeah, this team now is a very level-headed team. James has done a great job of keeping it that way. Both Donegal and Mayo's paths are very similar, you know, not doing too well and then all of a sudden the last 2 years doing really well. We've learned a lot over the years, I suppose, through very tough defeats in All-Ireland finals, and there's a calmness there and there's a maturity there, and I think the fans, and there's a lot of them here, they've stepped back a little bit, Des, and they've allowed the players and the management to prepare for this game. And because of that and the fact that Donegal are raging hot favourites, it will give the likes of me confidence going into tomorrow's game.
But Liam, talking to fans as I have been, I was talking to people below in Hollymount in Mayo today who crimed Croke Patrick for cystic fibrosis, and they were saying they're so nervous about the game because of the fact that they have come up so many times and walked away from Croke Park with a broken heart. Yeah. Is it that the confidence could be there, should be there, is more there?
Yeah, well, I feel that, and I don't want to be disrespectful to the Donegal fans. There's quite a lot of them here, and I don't want to
Good move.
be getting in trouble with the likes of the way Pat Spillane has got in trouble at times. But I just think it's for us. We played against an absolutely outstanding Kerry team in 2004 and 2006, and you know, if you understand the game and understand have played the game and understand the preparation and how you match up against that team, would be very difficult to win. But I think this is very much a level playing field. You know, two teams, young teams, very aggressive teams, defend very well on a completely level playing field. I don't think the Mayo guys will have any mental baggage going into this game. I think they'll be going into this game very confident. They'll be getting on that bus tomorrow, really believing they can win. I don't think that was the case maybe in 2004 and 2006.
Well, you're one of the star players around. I see in the audience there near Jono, one of the great legends, Willie Joe. You know the line? Do you know the line?
Will Galway beat Mayo?
Willie Joe Padden, you're welcome. Are you looking forward to tomorrow?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's a great occasion, and you know, from the fact that Donegal and Mayo pairing is, it's unique in one sense, because normally you associate All Irelands with the bigger counties, Cork, Kerry, Tyrone, or Dublin. So, and there's a lot of similarities between the Mayo people and the Donegal people, and we would be very friendly towards each other. Now we mightn't be friendly from 2:30 tomorrow until 5 in the afternoon, but after that I think it's all forgotten. But I think it's a great occasion, and let's hope it's going to be a very good game.
Are you confident?
I am quietly confident now. You'd have to say that Donegal has come through the tougher route to get here. They have beaten the big teams. We came pretty much under the radar to here, but we have done. Well, yes, Now, Dublin were fancy to beat us, but on the day, we actually played very well. The team starts to grow from there because they were beginning to take the little bigger scalps with them. Yeah. So tomorrow, as Liam said there, Donegal are favourites. Mayo are going in a nice situation. All they have to do is get out there, stick with their game plan. We know how Donegal play, but we can't. There's no point of us, forsaking our own game for the way they play. We just have to go out there with our own plan and play the game. And if we do, I think we can do very well.
I can sense the point you make, and John made it earlier, that the similarities between the counties, and even the audience. It's such an unusual find. There's such a goodwill towards you all, but it's going to be disappointment for somebody again, which is a shame because I think nationally nobody cares. Can I bring up a photograph? Let's move on to something. Brian McAniff and Martin Grania were a part of an historic Donegal team that won their first ever Ulster title back in 72 and 74. Isn't that right, Brian?
Correct.
Fantastic time for Donegal, as we heard earlier from Matt.
Well, I suppose, reflecting back on 72, we'd never won an Ulster championship until then, and the man here to my right here, I used to call him Mophead.
He's in a photograph there now in the front left.
Him there. You see him front left there. You can understand why I call him Mophead.
Was there no barber in Ballyshannon, Martin? Who's beside you there?
I can't make it out. I better put on my glasses.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean Who's there, lads? Donald Monaghan, is it?
Somebody who did have access to a scissors.
Mac Gallagher, is it?
No, it's John Boyce.
John
Boyce, yes, yeah. I think that was.
He had a barber.
Yeah,
that was
he had
the
a
only point I was
barber.
gonna
No,
make,
I mean, when you look back on it, I mean, you know, it's embarrassing to look back on that era.
You were cool, Martin. It was cool.
No, well,
Matt
it was
Gallagher
supposed to
certainly
be
thought you
cool,
were.
but it's so ridiculous now when you look at it, and my children just recoil in horror when I show them these photographs and when they see them, you know.
Yeah.
But look, it was a time we were in it, and you know, barbers certainly were, I think, going on lean times, to be honest about it. But
Certainly you
nonetheless,
didn't trouble them all that much.
for sure I didn't for a long time.
But it was breaking the mould though for Donegal too, Brian, wasn't it?
It was as big then as the All-Ireland was in '92 for us, because we had never won an Ulster Championship. In fact, we hadn't been to an Ulster final until 1963. So we'd never won 2 Ulster Championships back-to-back until 1963, and we never won the 3 back-to-back until '72. It was a great occasion for Donegal at the time.
But when you talk about the great occasions, Gráinne, that clip we were looking at, Liam, when Donegal won in '92, and Mayo, I've no doubt, would be the same, the Donegal team reached the Diamond in Donegal town at 2:30 in the morning. And 15,000 people waiting for them. It was incredible.
Children on shoulders, fast asleep.
Yeah, but
It's
even when
amazing.
Mayo lost it, for example, in 1989, do you remember there was about 15,000 people in Knock waiting for the plane to land there? It was quite extraordinary. And I think the celebrating went on at Christmas and this, with, you know, when you didn't win one. So God help us tomorrow evening if Mayo win it. I'll tell you something, it'll be fun.
And that's probably what makes it special, Liam, isn't it? And you know that it means so much to so many people, and it's probably what makes the GA unique.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, and both counties are going to celebrate this, whoever wins. And I just remember in '92 we were beaten in the semi-finals by Brian's team, and
people said, Liam, that was a shocking semi-final. Now, in fairness,
it was a very poor semi-finals, and Brian and the Donegal fans can thank us for them winning that All-Ireland final, because I think we dragged them down to a level that day, because
Dublin,
Dublin were very complacent. Dublin were at that game, Brian, in '92, and you guys, Donegal only played well for the last 10 minutes when Pádraig Brogan came on, so they didn't really show their full repertoire in that game, and it went
fair play. It would only
very
be
well
a
for
Mayo
them.
man who could turn something around like that.
But
Well
Des,
done.
we went up for the goal challenge on the Wednesday night after they won. I have very fond memories, and this gentleman was absolutely fantastic. And any time I'd go away for a game like that, I'd bring an entourage with me, and I had about 8 or 10 guys with me. And I went over after the game, after the meal and stuff like that, to thank Brian for the invitation and congratulate them on their win. And he said, like, where are you going? We're, you know, the Wednesday night after they won the All-Ireland. And he said to me, I said, we're going home now. We're taking off. And he said, no, you're not going home. Booked us into the hotel after the meal, all expenses paid, and made sure we had breakfast in the morning and set us off the next day. So that's the kind of character that Brian McAniff is, and most Donegal people welcomed us that day, and they're still the same today.
and will they get the same if they head down to Mayo on Monday night?
Well, he certainly will, that's for sure.
Brian, I believe some of your grandchildren will be wearing green and red tomorrow.
That's quite true. I have 3 Mayo grandchildren there, and they're in the Mayo colours tomorrow. But my daughter Joanne will be wearing the green and gold at Donegal.
Absolutely. And is it a bit like John Casey's case, where she's trying to get the kids to say up Donegal, and they keep saying?
They're gone beyond that stage now.
Are they?
I have to say they're quite adult in that respect.
They're set in their ways.
They're very much Mayo people, and rightly so.
Liam, I probably should ask somebody else. I mean, one final Mayo loss was a draw. They drew with Meath in '96, and Liam got sent off. And when that famous thing, anyone could have been sent off. Would Mayo have won that day if he wasn't sent off, in your view?
Well, it's very hard to say. I certainly believe they would have won it because of the fact that he was the main man. He was the key player for Mayo. Yeah. And even, you know, that was an All-Ireland that should have been won, actually. It was an unlucky bounce of the ball, actually. You know, Colm Coy's long kick from about 70 yards. Like, there's a misjudgment in the full back line with goalkeeper.
It bounced on the ground.
It bounced on about 10 metres out from goals and bounced over the bar. And I think that got me the draw, actually.
It did, yeah.
If memory serves me correct.
That's right.
But that was, you know, the replay then, obviously, it wasn't the replay, the row was in,
Yeah,
and that kind of stuff, you know. But I think even the following year, Mayo had a great opportunity, Des. And I would nearly go back, like, that was in '97. I managed 2 Mayo teams in '94, '95, 2 All-Ireland under-21 finals. And I always blame myself to an extent that had we won one of those, and the players had shall we say, the experience of winning. I feel in myself in '96 and '97, it would have stood to the senior team, and maybe the whole aspect and the psychology of winning would have been, you know, in their DNA, so to speak, at the time.
Do you think winning is a habit?
I think winning is a habit, is something that you acquire, and once you have the taste of it, I believe myself, it's much easier then to actually go and win more.
Liam, what is the difference with this team? I'm sure you know many of the lads who are lining out tomorrow. What do you feel could be the difference that'll make it on the day?
I'm very confident because they seem to be very focused. There doesn't seem to be many really superstars on the team. You know, I think we played something like between blood injuries and stuff like that, we played 23 players in the semi-finals, and it was seamless. All those type of things, you know, they're very low key. I haven't seen the Ballina guys all summer. The guys that live in Ballina, we haven't seen them all summer. Gerard Cafferty, Ronan, Clarkey, David Clark, and go. I haven't seen them. They've been low keyed all year. They seem to have a real focus, and you know they're playing as a team. And when you have that sort of power and that sort of energy, it gives you a great chance.
All right. Well, look at tomorrow. I wish